Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm having some issues, as you might guess. I'm trying to get the Twitter Spaces up, and I'm running into problems with it. Like it's not working for some reason, and I don't know why that might be the case. So what I'm trying to do now is start a new space and do it over. Normally this is the thing about Twitter Spaces. I have some news regardless, so even if there's nothing else, I can at least go into some stuff dealing with Gamergate and the Game Developers Conference, some of the stuff related to that. So don't sweat it, but I was tasked with trying to set up a Twitter Spaces so that I can have anybody come in and talk. But Twitter Spaces is stupid. It's a really stupid feature of Twitter because get this, okay? It only works on mobile devices, and only the host who owns the account can create a space, and the host must host the space from their device. I don't know why this is, right? So I can only do this on my Android phone, and I can't say start it on my Android phone and then move over to my browser, because that's what I'd like to do, and so it doesn't make sense. So what I'm trying to do is, and I don't know why it's not working, but I'm trying to get Twitter Spaces open on my phone and then join the space with Allison's account, which is why I have Allison's account on the screen. I'm logged in on her account, and then use Allison to listen in and talk, and I can't do it. Like it's just not working. So yeah, I don't know what is going on with that, and I am sorry to be such a disappointment, but I am kind of like doing this by myself. So and in the past, Brooke set it up for us and she would host, and so I would just join the call and I could just record and I could do it on my browser or whatever. But in terms of hosting, I don't know. And Hannah, she did something, I don't know, but I wasn't there, so I don't know what the details are. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants, and I don't really have like a lot of help. So I don't know what's going on with Twitter Spaces. I'm not like able to get it working, but if I figure it out, then we will, go from there. I don't know. So in the meantime, son, I am disappointed. Yeah, me too. In the meantime, though, I can give you guys some different stuff to think about. But first of all, let me put Vivian on the screen, and we will. What I'll do is, let me think here. I can try to reach out to people and see if any of them can host the space. How about that? Let me see if I can get, because I had a few people interested in coming on. Airplay Doc was gonna come on. So let me send a message to some people. I invited BX on. I invited Tachyon Blue. Brooke and some others. Disappointed. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. So let me but you know what? All right. I'm going to try to do spaces again. See if it works. Happening now. Surf the normies. I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody else is doing a Gamergate text or space. I don't see it though. Probably not. Pepe has a live stream, or there's a spaces for Pepe that might be related, but I'm not really sure. I'm not seeing anything. All right. Forget it. Well, let me just try to create a space one more time. See if I can do it. I gotta do it on my phone. Okay, there it is. Now it's working. Paste. And let me see. I'll do record space. Start the space. And I will just go. And I am now in the space, but now my Twitter closed suddenly. Why did that happen? Okay, Twitter needs help. Elon Musk, get on that. Fix the spaces. It doesn't make sense, bro. Fix your spaces. It doesn't make sense. It's like worse than Google Hangouts and Skype. How is that possible? Do the titles have to be unique? Oh, I don't know. Do they? I don't know. Oh yeah, here it is. My space is up. Reconnect to space. All right. I guess I'll invite a couple people and see if it works. So I'm gonna try to invite some folks. And see if that works. And it closed again. Yeah, this is really unstable, guys. It's really unstable. This is not good. Like, I was just trying to invite people into my space and it wasn't working. Let me see if it's still there. It is. It is. Oh, so I got to reconnect. Why do I have to do that? All right, we're going to try again. Turn the mic on. Okay, I'm connected. And let me see if I can get Allison's account in there. So I will find myself. Honey Badger Arcade. It's our space, comrade. And it says here, listen live. So I'm going to join that. And there might be some feedback from myself because I'm going to be listening to myself. So I'm gonna close my mic and see if I can hear myself. And there might be some feedback from myself because I'm gonna be listening to myself. So I'm gonna close my mic. And there might be some feedback from myself because I'm gonna be listening to myself. So I'm gonna close my mic. Feedback from myself because I'm gonna be listening to myself. So I'm gonna close my mic. From myself because I'm gonna be listening to myself. So I'm gonna close my mic. Yeah, so it's working. All right. All right. So you guys should be able to hear me, right? There might be some. I'm gonna talk with Allison's account. Oh boy. Maybe I have to. Okay, I may have to give Allison permission to talk. So let me see if I can do that. Should be like a gear or something in here that will let me. Just settings, maybe? Captions, sound. View captions, no. I click on Allison's account, invite to speak, invite to co-host. There you go. Send co-host invite. Sweet. And now I think Allison can talk. Let me just check. All right. I hope that wasn't too brutal. And you guys can, yeah, join as co-host. There you go. Accept co-host invite. All right. Let me just, yeah, allow. Okay. Press speak failed. Try again. All right. Okay, I think that'll work. So, Jim Bottle says, you sound pretty good, Brian. Woman, I permit you to talk. Okay, I think I got it now. So, I'm talking on Allison's account. Can you guys hear me okay, or is this, like, brutal? No, it seems fine. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I got to send some invitations out. Or hopefully somebody will notice this and see, and then join the call. But Twitter Space is kind of lame, I gotta say. You know, it needs a lot of work. But now it's fine. Okay, good. All right, well, why don't we do this, okay? So while I'm waiting to see if other people join, I'm looking at the things. Let's look at some different things. So this week, we're going to be talking about GamerGate, okay? And, oh, Allison is messaging me. Hold on a second. Will I boot you off if I go on? Maybe... Unless you use a different account. All right. So let me just check your chat. Everything seems to be going well. And I'm just waiting for Allison to get in here then. Because like if yeah, this isn't gonna work unless Allison logs. She has another account. So she might jump in with a different account. Let me just send her the link. Yeah, Twitter Space is kind of gay though. They gotta fix that shit. All right. Anyway, only a slight echo at the end of the words. Oh yeah, because my phone. For some reason I can't lower the volume anymore. I don't know why that is. I'll just move this over here so you're not hearing it as much. Yeah. RIP headphone users. Am I too loud or is everything okay? Are we good? Okay, so anyway, so trying something new, and of course it's a bit of a mess. Okay, it's perfect. All right, cool. I just moved the phone further away. So I lower my phone volume, but it doesn't let you lower the phone volume all the way. It's like a little bit, and I don't know why, but you know, and I can't mute it at all, so I gotta leave that as it is because I am the host. Hopefully, though, this thing won't suddenly like drop me, because that's like another thing that's happened in the past. So, all right. Anyway, so we're talking about GamerGate 2, or just GamerGate, because it never really ended. And I'm waiting to see what's going on with Allison in the meantime. Oh, Based Maga Pint Royal joined us in the thing. If you want to request, I think there's... Okay, so I'm kind of new at this tool, but if you want to request to speak, I think there's a button that you can press that will let you do it, and then I can use my authority to give you the right to speak. So, yeah, if you want to speak, just raise your hand, and I think I can like invite you to speak after that. So I have to look at the phone, which means you might hear a little bit of echo. Hit Astro says raise hand. Yeah, that's how you do it. Anyway, hopefully these people are screened. Well, no, it's just kind of open. I mean, somebody might come in swinging, but it's fine. It's basically like the people who follow my account and Allison's account. Like I said, I invited BX because BX, if you guys don't know, she does a lot of work and research into, like, you know, things the government is doing, like the way that they monitor people and like invasion of privacy stuff and that kind of thing. And in case you're new here, we had BX on our show, and she had this whole thing about, you know, essentially how the feds are, you know, they're essentially encouraging or like monitoring the incel forums, and then there are people within the incel forums that are also like driving incels to commit suicide or transition or commit mass shootings or whatever, and she was exposing that. So kind of involved. And when GamerGate 2 broke and the whole thing with Sweet Baby came out and all... Oh, you're Magapint? Oh, do you want to talk, Xeranx? Thank you for the $2 super chat, by the way. Appreciate it. When the GamerGate thing broke out, we learned, because BX was the person who brought to our attention this initiative that the Department of Homeland Security was putting together in order to essentially like redirect or nudge people like seeking out red pill manosphere content towards what, you know, essentially safer options. And these were like, you know, college students. Checking my phone here, make sure I don't miss any requests. Um. Hey, Bobcat, join the chat. Welcome. What was I saying? Yeah. So she exposed this whole thing. They invested like $700,000 into this initiative, and it's like a big old, like, you know, Homeland Security thing. And with Gamergate 2, there was a similar, interestingly enough, there was a similar thing happening, right? And you had hey Allison, request to speak, and I'll give you permission. I think I can invite you to speak. So I will invite you as a co-host, and now you should be able to talk as well. And I'm talking with your account because I'm using mine to host the call. So Allison, you should be getting the approval in just a moment. See if she comes in. Brian, is it government? Yes, it's government money. Yes. The stuff for the Manosphere was something like $700,000, and the stuff for the gamers, which I was just gonna say, they did the same thing with gamers because they're afraid of extremism in the gaming space, which is also still a male space. Let's be real. That's the reason why this is of interest to me, right? And I think it was like 400,000, but there's probably more. I mean, let's be real. It's probably way bigger than that. So, somebody requested. Who's requesting? Oh, Allison. Now I got another person. Oh. All right. So let me add a speaker. So Allison should be able to talk now. Let me just wait and see if Allison's thing goes through.
Yes, hello.
Okay, yeah, there it is. Yeah, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Yay! Yes. This app's kind of this feature's kind of shit. So anyway.
Yeah, it seems to have a slight bit of wonkiness, but that's what we love, right?
No.
Home.
No.
Oh no. Okay.
No, I like things to work. I like it when things work. I'm a fan of that.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, I was just sort of like setting up the stage and telling people who I've invited. So, you know, Airplay is the guy who made the video documentary. Tachyon Blue, I brought them both on for Fireside Chats. Tachyon Blue is the guy who's writing the book on it. BX is the woman that we spoke to that was talking about the Department of Homeland Security initiative to essentially like redirect people away from Manosphere Red Pill content. But she also exposed a similar initiative to monitor gamers for extremism and they're working with like Roblox and Discord and other social media spaces. I think they're working with developers too, like EA and Activision, which is crazy, and Steam. So, and again, this is just monitoring men. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it's just monitoring male spaces, even if there are women in them. That goes for the Manosphere stuff as well, and the incel forums and all of that. So it's all related, right? Kid Astro says, "Why are you using Twitter Spaces if Discord stage exists already?" Well, because Twitter Spaces lets anybody join in, and so I can like give them a platform if they want to like give their thoughts. And a lot of the Gamergate discussion is happening on Twitter and YouTube. So there is also that, like, you know, like the people that I listed off, not all of them are in our Discord. In fact, I don't think any of them are. So I wouldn't be able to get them on. Mord Sith says, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only kind of extremism I've seen in my years of online gaming has been mostly squeakers and power-tripping admins. In other words, impotent King Cole types." Yeah, I mean, well, the people who are probably the most extreme are the ones that are actually like, you know, essentially calling for people to be banned off of Steam and like, you know, calling for like the United Nations and like the Department of Homeland Security to monitor people. That sounds extreme to me. Like when you think half the country hates your guts and wants to kill everybody, that's kind of extreme in my opinion. Okay, so somebody else is... Oh, go ahead, Alice. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say slightly. I guess this is a bit of a wonky sound, so if you just interject a little bit, it expects you to like really commit to it or something. Like you
Oh,
can't
okay.
like a minor comment, like just oh yeah, I agree or something. You have to
Yeah, right.
yeah
Like what I just did.
yeah. Okay, so it's just totally derailing. So I'm gonna keep my minor comments to myself. I'll just
All right. Well,
in the corner.
I have a couple of things we can go through, but I did see somebody that wants to talk. I'm gonna approve of Bobcat of the family Quivex Bingivar AP. It's a weird name. I'm gonna approve of that person to talk. So here we go. Let's see what you have been approved to speak. It might take a moment because sometimes there's a bit of lag. So, what did you want to say? I'm waiting to see if they start talking. Hello?
Hello? Well, maybe you should talk about one of the things that you wanted to talk about while we're waiting. Because they might be just preparing their thoughts, eh?
Bobcat here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can hear you finally.
Okay. Well, I just got the little symbol saying I could talk. Is this going to be about the history of GamerGate, or do you have a GamerGate 3.0 that we're looking at now? Because I have much information about the history.
Well, we were there. I don't know if you. I was gonna say if you don't need does anyone watching or
Actually,
that is in this call need a history lesson on GamerGate?
I'm open to hearing everybody's perspective. Like, you know, just I mean, how long of a history are we talking, Bobcat? Are we like is this
Okay.
Cameroonian
I was listening to a local NPR station when I heard about this woman who wrote this game called Depression Quest, who was harassed for just even posting the fact that she wrote this game. It was posted on Rock Paper Shotgun. I believe it was Nathan Grayson who wrote the article, who said, "I haven't played the game, but let me lead my article with the top 10 games that are coming up this year." Zoe Quinn wrote the game with two men. The reaction in that article was, "I cannot believe that she would make a game like this by actually mentally ill, depressed people." They weren't harassing her. They were just leaving comments on that article. And so that's like the first, oh my God, I'm a victim. People said mean things about me. The two men who helped her write the game, they never said anything about being victims. Okay. Zoe then later put the game on Steam. And if you get a green light, it gets sold on Steam, selling it for $0. And of course, she complained that she was getting harassed about that. She then released it the day Robin Williams took his own life because he had Lewy body dementia. And her former boyfriend, Aaron Johnny, was just shocked that she would take advantage of someone else's tragedy. And he wrote the Zoe post. The Zoe post, he originally put on Something Awful, where he thought that Zoe would get a kind response. And it was about how she's abusive and how she gaslights people. And
What, if you don't mind me asking, what's Something Awful for people who might not know?
Something Awful is one of the OG forums for all kinds of stuff.
Is it kind of like before 4chan or before Reddit kind of thing?
I believe it was before, yeah, even before 4chan, and certainly before Reddit. I'm one of the OG Redditors. You can check out you Bobcat on Reddit or at Bobkitten on Twitter, X, as we call it now. So Aaron, Yaroin.
Yeah, I know the gentleman.
Wrote the Zoe post, and he put it on Something Awful, where it was immediately taken down. Now, Zoe was a longtime member of Something Awful, and she was especially in the Hell Dump thread, where they would out furries dox furries, and then they later started doxing people who actually should be doxed, I think. But she admitted to a crippling hell dump addiction for several years. So the day that Aaron posted his Zoe post, his friend, who I won't mention because she's she wrote an article. You can find it. You can find the article. She sort of regrets doing this. So Zoe gets a call. You've been hell dumped, and she knew exactly what that meant. Okay, now nobody cared until Matt Jarbo made a video about the Zoe post, which Zoe then filed a fake DMCA request. Okay, committing perjury and using her real name and her real address to do that. So Matt Jarbo certainly knew. Mundane Matt is his YouTube name, and he has been on Spaces also.
Yeah, I know. We know Mundane Matt actually. Like we know all these people. We were involved with.
Okay, well, there may be someone.
Yeah, but go. Yeah, no, for sure, it's okay. Let's retread it. But yeah,
who doesn't know?
Yeah.
So, okay, until this outrageous fake, this perjury happened, nobody cared. Then Total Biscuit, who is a game critic, a British man who's a game critic, who died at the age of 33
Rest in peace.
Of colon cancer. Yes. Wrote a very kind critique of, well, don't do that. Don't make a fake DMCA request. He was viciously attacked by Zoe's friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Viciously attacked. Okay. And he had to just say, I'm not complaining about anything except this illegal act that someone has committed. And he was a lawyer. He passed the bar when he was 22 years old in the United Kingdom. Okay, so now poor Aaron then gets Zoe, not her original name, who files a restraining order against him. And the judge says, okay, you can't even talk about her. He never said, hey, everybody go abuse her. Nothing. He was the kindest, gentlest soul that I have ever known. Certainly. And but the judge said, you can't even talk about her.
Right.
The lawyer he had representing him said, no, I'm going to do this for free. This is ridiculous. So after a year and a half or a couple of years, Aaron was desperate because they get down to the end of this whole thing. He can never talk about anything ever online again. And I told him that Eugene Volokh from the Volokh Conspiracy, who at the time had a section in the Washington Post, to talk to him because he's looking for First Amendment cases. So Aaron's like, you're kidding me. No, I'm serious. I know what Eugene's up to. So Aaron contacted Eugene, and then Eugene Volokh and his friends represented Aaron pro bono through all the things. And it got to the point where Zoe was desperate to drop the case, to drop the restraining order and have everything be moot, so she would never have been seen as losing. So, but Eugene is like, no, we're gonna make the court decide this, and it got all the way to the Supreme Court in Massachusetts, and they finally said, well, there's nothing we can do. And so Zoe then goes on Twitter, it's like, I won. All she won was dropping the case that she had falsely accused someone of doing something wrong with.
Yeah. And then everything else falls out of that, because I think ultimately the whole situation with Zoe was just, maybe the flashpoint, but I don't think it's the real reason why.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think that's the reason? Because I think that it moved beyond Zoe Quinn pretty quick for most of us. But I don't know if this if you believe that, Bobcat.
Oh,
What's it-
the person who was hurt the most by being doxxed and abused was Phil Fish.
Mm-hmm. Who did that? Who abused him?
I have no idea, but his entire company's everything was released online.
He's the Fez guy?
The Fez guy. The guy who had a documentary made about how cool it was that he was making this game while he was ripping off the guy who actually made the game.
Oh, now that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Okay, I got a couple more things. I've got to go, but so the Vivian James is a lovely character. Her violet and green, it's not purple and green, it's violet and green, striped hoodie, VG video game. You're familiar with Ellie Prizeman, who made the shirt that Matt Taylor, the guy who landed a thing on an asteroid or a comet.
Yeah, the Shirtgate guy. Yeah, he was canceled by the Verge, I believe, which also wrote a very recent article about GamerGate. The same outlet that made him essentially, give a tearful apology. You remember Shirtgate, Allison? We reported on it years ago when it first happened. We reported on it. But go ahead.
Ellie Prizeman had handmade that bowling shirt with pinup girls on it. It was it's a very tame shirt. And Matt is covered with tattoos that Ellie Prizeman's husband made. And Ellie had not been sewing for a very long time, but she's very talented at it. And so I suggested that Ellie make Vivian James hoodies.
Yeah.
I did that on Twitter. I suggested it on Twitter. And then I went on Reddit, on Kotoku in Action subreddit. And I got a lot of people to say, I would buy one in a heartbeat. So she then later made hundreds of Vivian James hoodies and sold them for a quite reasonable price. And they were excellent quality.
Wow, I did not know about that. Do you know if those can you still get Vivian James hoodies?
No, she did 2 runs of them. I think she's done with that. She's doing some other things on YouTube. But so there was a person who had a very large amount of money, whose girlfriend at the time bought one of the Vivian James hoodies and modeled it, and it was on the Ellie Prizeman website, a picture of her, and her cosplay name is Nikki Moxie. And her husband,
I'll have to look that up. Go ahead.
Her husband now is Palmer Luckey.
Yeah.
You know who Palmer Luckey is?
No, I'm sorry, I don't get the reference.
Palmer Luckey is the creator of the Oculus Rift. He sold the company to Mark Zuckerberg for $700 million.
So Palmer Luckey is related to Nikki Moxie, who modeled the Vivian James sweater hoodie
made by the woman who made the asteroid Shirtgate shirt. Yes.
Wow. Small world.
Lots of
well, those are interesting links I didn't know about. Can you do you mind follow me on Twitter? And my DMs are open at Honey Badger Arcade. No, I'm using Allison's account, but my account is Honey Badger Arcade, is the person hosting the stream.
Badger Arcade is hosting.
Yeah, Badger Arcade, that's the one. And just send a DM with those names so I can look into those people more, because that's Are you recording? I am recording this. I can just play it back later too. Not a big deal. If you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, follow at Bob Kitten, or at Bob Kitten on Twitter is the best way.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And thanks for the history lesson too, by the way.
Rip Alec Holowka.
Yes. Rest in peace, Alec Holowka. Now that's a real victim.
All right. See ya.
All right. Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have a request to speak?
Okay. Can I play the Watson? What is the reference, Alec Holowka?
Oh, well, okay. That's a really interesting rabbit hole. If anyone else is in here that wants to talk about Airplay is here. Hey, Airplay, do you want to talk? He made the documentary, the video documentary about Gamergate. It's a two-part series. Very well done. Very, very well done. He wants to bring it to theaters, by the way. So, yeah. So, like, if you you know, like, I don't know if you know how it was done, but I've been meaning to get back to him about this. You know that, like, when Cassie J was doing, like, hosting screenings?
Cassie J, who did the
Cassie J did the Red Pill, yeah.
men's issues community, which is actually really distinct from what the Red Pill became, I suppose. But I guess that's what happens when you just completely ignore men's issues. You know, you get a bunch of men who have to deal with a society that's incredibly callous towards them. And
yeah, and they end up adapting in their own ways, and sometimes that causes little splinter groups. Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, the Red Pill concept is now gone in a very different direction than men's issues.
Or at least, like, it's been taken in a different direction. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah. So Cassie J did that. What were you saying? Like,
well, Cassie J had this setup, and I think Jordan Peterson did this too when he was doing a tour, where she had the film out there and she wanted to bring it to theaters, but she wasn't able to, like, put them in theaters herself. So instead, she set up a kind of service where someone could, like, you know, if they got enough ticket sales, they could have a theater do a screening. And so I did that for her. So I did a screening, and it was like a long time ago. I don't remember how it all worked out or whatever, but I had a screening hosted in Chicago. It was actually in a downtown theater, kind of a nice one. And it was it had to be like on a certain time where there wasn't, like, you know, like not a weekend day or something like that, but you can set that up and you do it all online. And then people can buy tickets online, and then you just, like, you know, you have to be the host of the screening. And I wanted to help because he wants to bring his movie to theaters. So I wanted to help him with that because I do think it's important, you know, an important film that sort of documents everything that happened. Mainly because, if you don't know, like today, if you go to Wikipedia and you look up Gamergate, it literally describes it as a harassment campaign on Wikipedia. Unless you go to Chinese Wikipedia, in which case it's actually more accurate, you know. But anyway, yeah, so that's what Airplay is. And if you want to talk Airplay, you can just, like, request to speak, I think, in Twitter Spaces, and I'll give you permission. But I don't know, do you know anything about how to do that? Like, we did a screening didn't we screen it in Saskatchewan or something?
Well, we screened parental alienation movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't end up screening. I think it was actually Justin Trottier who screened something in Alberta that we attended. Yeah. Or we attended a Q&A afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
So that might be something to look into in terms of getting the Gamergate
maybe exactly
out there.
Yeah, maybe I can reach out to Justin and ask him, like, if, you know, for help with that, because I don't know how to do it. I don't remember, but it used to be that you could do it through a website or something like that. So
indeed.
But Alec Haloka. So I was gonna okay, Alec Haloka. You're wondering about that. All right, this is interesting. Okay, so I gotta get it's related to this Sweet Baby Inc. thing, if you could believe it. So Alec Haloka. Let me just do a search here for this stuff first, and get his name up because I don't want to get this wrong. Halauka. Alec Haloka. There he is. Okay. So Alec Haloka was a Canadian indie game developer and co-founder of independent game companies Infinite Ammo, Infinite Fall, and Bit Blot. Okay. And he was mainly known for an award-winning title, Night in the Woods. It was a video game. I never played it. And another one called Aquaria. And so he owned this company called Infinite Ammo. Infinite Ammo is they are a company that funds independent video game projects. or other creative independent projects in Canada. Okay, I think they're based out. He was based out of Winnipeg. Anyway, Alec Holoka was actually a part of this whole Zoe Quinn thing because he was another person that I believe she accused. Yes, she did. She accused him of rape. Okay, and even though there was no evidence, she didn't go to police. Nothing was found out. Like, and no proof was had. He lost his job. He was canceled. He lost his company and everything. And even and it eventually led to him taking his own life. On October, I think it was October 29th or October 30th of 2019 that he took his own life. And I actually made a video about it on Honey Badger Arcade on the anniversary of his self-deletion. I don't know what we have to use this language. But anyway, so he took his own life because he couldn't handle the pressure and the stress of this allegation, from what we can tell. And his sister put out a statement when they learned about it. She was the person who broke the story. And his sister's name is Eileen Holoka. Okay? If I remember correctly. And in her note, she basically talked about how, she's going to miss him and all of that. But she also made it a point to say that despite everything and all of his problems, I believe victims. Okay. So she sided with Zoe Quinn on this allegation, even though there was no evidence. And then she took over his company. And now she runs Infinite Ammo, which funds Sweet Baby Inc. and several other sort of like affiliate companies like Weird Ghosts and there's a Baby Ghost, I think. So there is a direct connection from Zoe Quinn to Alec Holoka to his suicide to his sister owning his company and using his company to fund Sweet Baby Inc. Now, only the people who really do the work and know about like the old roots of Gamergate would be able to put this together. Most people talking about it today, they either didn't think it was very important, or they didn't like look into it that much. Now, all of it's coming out now, these weird connections. But yeah, that's the story of Alec Holoka. So he is a guy who took his own life because of a false allegation. Or at least an allegation that was never proven. I'll put it that way. So, Allison, are you there? Are you talking? You're muted for some reason. I'll request it. Who is asking to speak? Uh-oh. Shit. Hold on a second. My thing might have ended. Let me see. Yeah, it says my recording. I got a recording 33 minutes ago. What? It ended. I gotta start it over again, guys. I'm sorry. Give me a second. I gotta create a new space. Something bonkers is going on. Yeah. Spaces is kind of shit. Let's do this. I'll just make another one. Art 3. Say done. Start the space. And I will invite people again. Chit Chat Cat, Airplay. I'm sorry guys. Packer Girl, she did some good work. Tachyon Blue. Zaranx, Hannah, Bex, and Allison. And I think that's it. So okay, so it says 8 people have been invited to the space. I am live again. Metal issues, yeah, I know. Technical difficulties with the Badgers. I'm not responsible. This is a Spaces problem. If I need to, I could just talk to Allison, and I'm not able to speak anymore, and it keeps repeating. Yeah, Spaces glitched. It crashed. I guess I could just say that. I set up a new one. All right. Yeah, I don't get it. You know what it might be? Would it make sense that this could crash because my phone was sitting idle for too long? Is that possible? I don't know. Pats for JoJo. But you guys follow everything I said about Alec Haloka? Because I think that's a really crucial part of this whole story. Because the Gamergate operates, or the people opposing Gamergate, because I think that to be let me give Allison the link again. Hold on. And I gotta join anyways. Gamergate lives wait, where is it? Hold on a second. What's going on here? Let me refresh the page. Something is going wonky with Twitter Spaces, but just going to listen live. Start listening.
Hold on a second. What's going on here? Let me refresh the page. Something is going wonky.
I'm rejoining, but it's going to be
Spaces,
weird.
But just going to listen live. Start listening. All right.
All right. Just a moment. Just waiting on to join Allison, or to get Allison's account to join the call. So.
Just waiting on to join Allison.
All right. Yeah, I'm back now. Okay. So I'll see if anybody else joins, but I did it again. So anyway, primary question I have is, why are you running it off a phone rather than through a browser? This is a problem with Twitter or X or whatever. So like Spaces, and if somebody knows the answer to this conundrum, please help me out, because I could not find out how to do it. Okay, now Allison is here. Let me invite her to co-host really quick. You can see that Allison is back. So then co-host invite. There we go. And I will invite her to speak as well. There she goes. Okay, and NQCell is here. Hello, NQCell. Welcome. Okay. So yeah, so anyway, the issue is that Twitter. Allison, you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Yeah, no, I can hear you. Yeah.
Why don't we,
yeah, this is a Spaces thing. Why don't we what?
Why don't we start it through the other account, like the Honey Badger Radio account? And then maybe it'll see more people. I don't know. Maybe that's too much complexity.
Oh, well, but the thing is, I was just about to explain. No. This is the problem, though. You would have to host it because I don't. Okay, so the thing is, this is the thing about Spaces. This is what pisses me off about it. Okay. You can only start a space from the mobile app. You can't do it in a browser.
Good grief.
So I have to.
And that's why it's so spotty too, isn't it?
Yes. So you can start a Spaces in the mobile app. I don't know why, but you cannot do it in a browser. Now, unless there's a way to open the mobile app in a browser, which I guess there probably is a workaround like that, that's kind of like the situation I'm in. So I have to like start it in my phone, which is stupid. And then I have to join, because the audio from my phone isn't going to go out to the show, right? So I'd have to join on another account so that I can hear the audio from within the call, and then use that as the account I'm speaking through, which is why I'm speaking to you through Honey Badger Byte Twitter account.
Yeah, and then it just crashed completely before for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I mean, I apologize, guys. I got a request to talk, but the only logic that I could conclude, like, why it crashed is maybe because my phone was sitting idle long enough and, like, you know, it went to a black screen. Maybe that's why, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, well, that seems very
unwieldy.
Unwieldy, yes, that would be a good way
Yeah.
of putting it. Unwieldy.
So in Q Cell wants to talk, so I'm gonna let him talk, but see if they want to say anything. In Q Cell, you have been approved to speak. Are you there?
Well, it seems like it always has a little bit of a lag while the person.
There is also a lot of lag. It's kind of shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes, we can hear
Oh,
you.
great. Yeah, in terms of just starting it out, because I have some thoughts that are not necessarily congealed. If you're looking to like host it on the desktop, you can use something like BlueStacks, which is a phone emulator. So you can like have a virtual phone running in on your desktop. It might help stuff with this phone going to sleep or losing data connection and stuff like that, because the network connection is going to be using your PC network connection. So eventually you might look into that. It's fairly easy. I've been using it because for the longest time the Spaces was only available on mobile, even as a listener. I'm not even sure when they added it on the desktop, but ever since then it's been dropping. Like you suddenly, like you're talking and nobody hears you, right? It's very, very janky, and I think it's because it's primarily a mobile only feature from the onset. And they sort of didn't. It's apparently rather difficult to jerry rig it, or they apparently they don't really want to rewrite it, so they're just making compatibility layers one after another or one on top of another, and it eventually gets the result is what it is. So
I appreciate the suggestion. I'll look into it. Just whenever you get a chance, just send me the name again, and I'll just search for it after the show.
Sure.
So the complete show will be on Rumble and YouTube, though. I mean, complete with also the technical difficulties, which pretty much
it is what it is.
What it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, so did you have anything else you wanted to say besides?
Yes, I have thoughts. I have, long time caller, first time listener, or however it goes. I've been, watching you on your shows like since 2016. So I'm kind of been around the block, using various accounts.
You're
a
G, is what you're saying. You're a G.
Sure. Let's call it that. One thing that is, I suppose the question that I have asked myself is like what I expect to see from this, because it seems to me that even with the sort of first GamerGate and whatever is happening now, it's always been a kind of reactive sort of ordeal, reactive kind of endeavor, because it mostly was it was first GamerGate was kept going simply because the lolcows and the like collectively insane people that were instigating it kept coming back to the well, right? There was like every month or every week they came up with some insane stuff, sending DMCA, complaining about harassment, creating more articles, and just sort of kept feeding the flames, right? For a really long time, to the point, but they just became lolcows, right? You just sort of had to laugh at them because they were sort of doing the same thing all over again. And it seems to me that all can stop whenever they want to, right? That there's not necessarily any kind of logic as to why they should be going on with it. Like maybe you might say for the first time around, for people like Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn, it was a grift. Like it was the primary motivation was to get eyes on whatever they were trying to sell, be it games or speaking engagements. And from that point of view, they did well for themselves. Obviously, you can't deny them that. But it seems to me that this time around that the news cycle has accelerated to the point where and it's not sort of. It's not necessarily even centered on it. Well, it's centered on the sweet babying stuff, but I don't think that this is going to they're going to make the same mistake this time around, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Well, the
stuff, but yeah.
I will say that the reason why it's going to be the same is because they cannot help themselves, and so this might get a little bit too like big picture. But I think that these people have a problem with pride and narcissism. They cannot let go of the idea they might be wrong. And they will double down until like they lose everything because of how much of themselves is at stake. So I mean, like, when you said, you know, that there's always like new outrage or articles or whatever, at first I thought you were saying maybe that like it's kind of like a useless, you know, cycle of people feeding into each other's drama. But I think it is legitimately one-sided. Like Cabrutus Rambo, who created the Steam group, who I've had on the show, he's just a normal guy that lives in Brazil. And, you know, he doesn't like the direction that the games that he enjoyed were headed. And so he did something that he probably thought was completely benign. Like, oh, I'll just make a list and I'll avoid these developers and whatever, right? And it just, like, the reaction from Sweet Baby and all of their friends in the press and in the media and everything was actually like what started this whole mess. It wasn't Cabrutus Rambo. It wasn't the people in his community. It wasn't the gaming public that just wants to be left alone. It was these people who just cannot leave people alone. And so that is going to happen. But and the thing is too, is that this is a bigger thing than just video games. This is like everywhere. This is our whole world now. The whole Western world is basically this enormous feminized, like, you know, motherly instinct coming out of these people, and they want to like bring everyone else down to their level, and they actually don't like necessarily, I mean, they benefit from the grift, but they don't really care about the grift that much. It's just about satisfying themselves and this need for control. And there are plenty of other people, like in positions of government and politics and the media, that will see an advantage for themselves because they're the same kind of person, and they'll jump on that too. And so the thing about this is, for me anyway, it's very easy for us to win. And we will. And we didn't lose last time either. Because some people will say that we did, but I would say we did. We made people aware of this. And it led to a number of other changes in our culture that probably would have gone completely unnoticed had it not been for GamerGate. And I think that, like, people have, this is the reason why it upsets them the most, because they are losing the narrative. You know, like it's unraveling, and they're losing their minds.
Okay, so just one point of like a technical issue. I'm hearing a faint echo from you, Brian. I don't know if anybody else is.
I can't help it because I have to use my phone to connect. And
okay.
And I can't mute my audio completely. It won't let me mute it.
Good
So
Lord.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality.
Okay, so this is just a reality of spaces.
Yeah, it's another Spaces
Unless
thing. Yeah.
somebody has had this problem and knows how to fix it, which, you know.
Well, he suggested me getting like the app on my computer, but I can't do that now because we're in the middle of this. So
yeah, no, we got to just plow through. Just
yeah,
keep going, just badger on.
yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say is what we need, I think, and it's sort of why I went back to writing. Which incidentally, you know, guys, I was originally a storyteller, not whatever this is. So, but I realized that we need stories. If we're really gonna combat this, what they're taking over is our stories, and through stories, our understanding of ourselves and what we're capable of. And they want to make us small and insignificant and obedient, and also constrained by whatever biological factor that they have, they've decided, like, you're purple, therefore you go on this part of the intersectionality pyramid hierarchy. You're the purple caste, you know, and you're on the bottom, that kind of thing. So they're using these stories to make us feel small and incapable and helpless and frozen in place, usually beneath them morally. And what we need is stories that break that apart and open us up back up to who we are. And that's why, you know, I'm trying to write the story that I'm writing, and I invite everybody else to you know, put their own voice in. and develop their own talents in terms of storytelling, if you have them, and also invest in the storytellers who aren't interested in making people feel small. Anyway, it's a little spiel there. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's what people are doing. That's what I'm saying. This is the thing. It's so easy for us to win. I think people have been doing it. You vote with your wallet because this is the thing that they try to do. They get into something that you love and they corrupt it. And what you have to do is you have to break up with it like you would, like a toxic relationship. And you go and you say, okay, this is not the thing that I started dating when I first met you. You're not the same creature. So I'm going to go do something else now. And so you support the stuff that does acknowledge your humanity, and it does represent beauty and truth, because and those two are basically the same. And you support the stuff that works, and you may remain vigilant against the stuff that is being made by people who hate you, and they want to destroy they want to destroy like beauty itself, and that's kind of what is happening. And that's what I'm basically saying the same thing you're saying, but in a different way, because I'm not able to program video games. But there are people who are out there that do want to do good work, right? And so they should be supported.
Well, yeah, and it is. I think that this is what they're really after. I mean, if you look at it, they're after all of the organizations that tell us what it is to be human, tell us what truth is, and open ourselves up to our own capabilities. And they want to shut every one of them down. And the way that you fight back against that is, again, like Brian was saying, you just don't invest in what they want you to invest in, and start building your own. Build up what you want to see. I once got banned from a convention for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Build what you want to see in the world. And the more people who realize that they don't have to be passive consumers of what they're told and start to become active co-creators of this world and the world of stories, the better. The more people who put their voice into telling the story of being human, then the better off we all are. And so that's my 3 cents. 3 cents, not 5.
I want to give InQcell another chance to talk. Because that's kind of why we did this. So InQcell, what do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, a bunch of other things. Each one of these always expands into a long period of time. But if you have someone else, that's you can put me anytime.
I can give it to Chit Chat Cat, because she also, or he or she, I'm not really sure if it's a girl, requested to speak. So Chit Chat Cat, hi.
Hi.
Yes, hi. What are your thoughts? What's on your mind?
So just on the Kributis point, one of the things that I've noticed with him is that obviously he's trying to treat this as it's not something political, when it actually is, because a lot of people on our side are like, no, it's not politics. It's just crazy people we're dealing with, when it's the furthest thing away from that, because like we saw with GDC, they literally have Marx as an inspiration for the approach to designing games. And so It's inherently political. So at this point, it's like, when we have people saying, oh no, it's not politics, we kind of undermine ourselves, because when GamerGate started the first time around, most people were unaware of the fact that it was political, that it wasn't just a case of gaming journalists turning against us. It was the fact that there were people in the industry that wanted to push basically communism, because it was something happening in the US for like over a 7-decade period of slowly encroaching on every single institution and sphere of society, going, we need to promote our ideology, but we need to go about this in a very insidious manner. Mm-hmm. And when it came to video games, they didn't take that approach. They were very brazen, because video games went from being something that was, oh, it's for children, it's not that important, to overshadowing Hollywood. And when they saw that happen, they were like, we need to get in as fast as possible. And that's the reason why Gamergate happened, was because they were so quick and just full Fidel Castro about it, where it's like, we need to just go all out in order to capture gaming. And that's the reason why gamers were like, we actually see there's something happening, but we didn't know at the time that it was political. And now when we do know it's political, for some weird reason, we have people on our side saying, no, it's not politics. But then there's flags everywhere, there's paraphernalia everywhere that's saying to us it's political. And it just gets frustrating at a point where we know what the problem is, we know what the approach is that's needed to beat it, but we don't have that internal support that the left does, where they close rank and they're like, all right, we're going to all do our part to get where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I respond to that? You are 110% right. And I've been saying this since 2014, since Gamergate 1. This has always been political. But I have sympathy for the people who genuinely don't believe it is. Because we are all operating under a paradigm, and I think most people are unaware of that, that it is like it kind of, it's a product of our education and our media and everything else. And the reason why you're right, these communists are stepping up and they've moved on video games so fast and so hard is because they did not have the reverence or respect for it when it was still small. They were doing this stuff in Hollywood and in television and in music and in everything else, right? So all of that stuff had been going on for decades and decades and decades, and there's plenty of people who have done a lot of really good work on this. I am actually working on a project that talks about how this all comes down from the art movements going all the way back to the French Revolution, and how like it kind of like came this way. It's not necessarily like a direct line, but you can see like waves and trends of this stuff like becoming more and more, like moving more and more to where it is today. And there are people like, Mary Wollstonecraft are a part of this, and her daughter Mary Shelley and Lord Byron, and it goes, and all of the art movements, the Dadaists, the Cubists, the Futurists, the Absurdists, etc., all the way to where we are today. And the only thing about video games that made it unique was that everything else, from music to film to television, all of those, and the visual arts and paintings and graphic novels and literature, those were all considered art, but video games was not. It was because these people are also elitist snobs. So they thought, well, that's beneath our notice because it's for children, like you said. But when video games came up, it was so fast, the technology advanced so quickly that they weren't prepared to like do that same kind of slow, Gramscian style infiltration that works so well in all of these other sort of like, all these other artistic endeavors or artistic mediums. And the normies, like the people that are even on the side of Cabrutus Rambo, and even the people from Gamergate before, when they hear about it, they're like, they roll their eyes, they say, they whine, they're like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. Look, I don't want politics in my games. I want to avoid this at all costs. But the fact is, you can't, like, you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. And all you have to do is you figure out, what are my principles? What do I stand by? And you stand by it. And that's it. You don't have to call yourself right-wing. You don't have to call yourself conservative. You don't have to call yourself libertarian. You don't have to call yourself an anarcho-capitalist. You don't have to call yourself any of that shit. You just say, I believe in reality. I believe in truth and beauty, because that's what art is. It is the beauty in truth. And that's what I want to see. So the reason why their stories don't work and their art doesn't work is it's not a reflection of reality. It's a reflection of themselves, because they're all narcissists. You ever notice that everything that they put out there, that they're like, we need more diversity, and then when you see their diverse character, it's just a self-insert, because that to them is what is acceptable. They have no imagination. They have no skill. They hate meritocracy. They hate competition. And by the way, all this stuff is masculine. All this stuff that they're shitting on is shit that men liked. Because when video games were new and for children, any man who played them was shunned. He was treated like an outcast and a weirdo. Now that it's all mainstream and girls are into it, all of a sudden everybody loves it. And of course, now it's getting ruined. But so does that make sense, sir? Chat?
Yes, it does make sense. I'm not sure if Alison wants to speak before I continue, because I saw she wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could do a counterpoint. A couple. well, I don't know, counterpoint or just tangential points. Well, I guess
Okay.
that's up to the audience to decide. First of all, these communists, which you call communists, you can turn them into right-wing, bootstrap rhetoric spouting conservatives by simply mentioning a men's issue. And the instant that you mention the men's issues to these communists, or what you're calling communists, they start talking about what the individual, the service the individual owes society to keep society running, and how individual problems like the individual factory worker is just to blame or shares in the blame as the boss who's exploiting his labor. Suddenly, all of their principles disappear. It's amazing. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
They don't have principles, Allison. They have goals. 100%. They've never said they have principles. They only have things that they want to get.
You're right. They don't even have the principles, communist principles. They just have shit they want to get. But my point is that all you have to do to suddenly get them to espouse the whole idea of the necessity of individual merit and the individual serving society, not the society serving the individual, is just mention a men's issue. Or just counter this idea that somehow, for example, the men who went to war under threat of execution are somehow not responsible for creating the war that they would have been executed if they wanted to not fight in. And that just, they immediately fall back on this idea of ultimate culpability of the individual, but only when it comes to men. Any other group, no, that then society owes them.
Allison, you dropped, I think. Allison, you try to come back. Is anyone else there? Uh-oh, let me just check something. Maybe I'm dropped. Maybe I'm the one that dropped.
No, I'm here still.
Oh, okay. I see. Weird. Did Allison drop then?
It seems like it.
Okay, well, that's all right. Well, you mean that's all true, I suppose, but the conservatives not the one destroying the gaming culture. I'm sorry. It's just not the same. It's like when that happens, call me up. I'll be right there in the front lines. But right now, I'm dealing with commies, okay? So,
I think what Allison is touching on is basically this puritanical culture that exists within the Anglosphere. Because the thing is, if we go back to like the Bush era and everyone else was like, oh, rock and roll music, Dungeons and Dragons, video games, they cause societal problems. And I think that's where she's coming from, because a lot of people point back and it's like, yeah, no, what's happening right now in America with video games and anime happened like decades prior. It was just the
of course, Jack Thompson and all that. But I think the main difference is though when that was happening, when Tipper Gore was like trying to get like, I don't know, like restrictions on like rap music that had bad language in it, or when Jack Thompson was warning against like Mortal Kombat making kids violent, or when like any of these other sort of like, what we would consider to be conservative pundits said something, we pushed back and we pushed back together. But when the woke lady friend people come along, all of a sudden people are buckling and they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to be called sexist. So like it could be the same instincts, but the response is completely different. Am I off base there?
No, you're completely correct. And the reason why the response is so different, it's because of the culture that leftists fostered like for decades. Because the thing is, I'll readily admit this, like before 2018, I wasn't like hard left, but I was like a leftist. So I was like pro-feminism. I was the kind of gay where if you mention something about a gay person, I'd be like, what are you saying? Is it something good? I hope it's good. And it was simply due to the fact that a lot of the entertainment, even like here in South Africa, like would position it as, oh no, gay people are always under attack. You need to be fearful of conservatives, etc.
Yeah, they're propaganda, sure.
Yeah, and so you go to this process not actually knowing what's going on, because if you don't do the research yourself and you don't have these conversations yourself, you'll never know what's on the other side actually. And so a lot of people, because for example, I can point to just some guy, if you're familiar with him, is a YouTuber, or Nerdette Newsstand, like just a lot of people.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah. And what you notice is that when Gamergate was happening, when the culture war was still like very fresh for us, they were on our side. But then eventually they noticed that, oh no, conservatives are gaining new ground. And they were like, oh fuck, we can't be on their side anymore because...
Yeah, because... Yes, exactly. I have to push back too because I don't want like whatever the boogeyman hovers over there. But if you've noticed, I mean, like even in the last couple of days, Matt Walsh said something and immediately was shot down, and justifiably so, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. So it's, I mean, that's what we need. We need the same response, no matter where it's coming from anyone who's trying to tell us essentially what we should be doing with our time and our money, most importantly.
Yeah, no, that's the reason why I effectively went on this like one man purity check with people. The moment I see someone say anything like, guys, please don't harass the journalists, I'm like, where have we harassed anyone? We don't do that. Like, that's not our MO. And so when people say things like, oh, don't harass, we're not sexist, we're not this, it's like, you're validating the claim that's been made against us, because the moment you acknowledge what they're saying, they're like, they've admitted that there's a problem. We now need to show people there's a problem. Because the thing
100%.
is, we know that Anita faked death threats against her. Like, I know when I was a gaming journalist back in 2019, I made like an attempted deep dive on GamerGate. It wasn't as deep as like other people have done. And I mentioned the fact that the only way Anita could have gotten screenshots of those messages, or rather tweets, was if she actually searched for a name. The times that she took were way too quick for someone to just have come across it. And all of the talk of like the vampirism, Anita loves Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So it's like there's all these times that say it's like it is her. But because at the time we were still living in the culture of women can't do anything wrong, they can't say anything bad or lie, people believed it. And even when we gave all that evidence that no, they're lying, Zoe's lying, Brianna Wu's lying, no one wanted to believe us, especially because a lot of people in Gamergate at the time were leftists. They're not really going to accept the fact that your entire worldview is a lie.
Yeah, or at the very least, they were like liberal enough that they were just gonna believe, like believe women was the default position. Like there are default positions people approach this from because of this sort of like cultural conditioning, but also a little bit because of our biology. Like when a woman says she's in trouble, everyone assumes that it must be true before they investigate. And when a man says he's in trouble, we're more likely to be a little bit turned off by that.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing, and that's the reason why most of the people like that became the figureheads of like the anti-Gamergate movement, and even the ones that were pushing everything, were women, because if we leveraged any kind of criticism against them, it would be like, oh, you're sexist, you must hate women. And that's why it was so difficult, because at the time, culture was very much women can do no wrong. And so when we attempted to criticize them, it went nowhere. Because even like when we had Christina Half Summers on our side, she got called a pick-me. And it's like, even when you have women defending you, it's like, we didn't gain any ground when it came to oh my god, I hate the whole thing about optics so much. Like, oh guys, we need to present formal, rational arguments. We need to give the best picture of ourselves because that will convince normies. I'm like, we done that. Sargon done that. Christina done that. Like, so many people focused on optics and it got us nowhere. And that's why for me, when I see people going back to like, oh no, the optics were a problem. I'm like, the optics really doesn't matter. It's the messaging. Because the thing is this, it's that people are still talking about as till today. And the whole rant happened.
Az was 100% correct for his rant, because if you ever look, I mean, actually, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up because it lets me bring up something else. I do see some people waiting to talk. I'll give you guys a moment, but first, there's something I've been really wanting to mention, but this is related because this is about their tactics. So this week is the Game Developers Conference, GDC 2024. And GDC is like where all the game devs and all these other people, they network with each other. They work in the industry. They're journalists, they're developers, they're producers, they're investors, whatever. Right? And they go to shill themselves or like meet other people. So anyway, Anita Sarkeesian had, or Feminist Frequency had a talk at the GDC conference this year. And this is, I'm just going to read what this is about because this relates to exactly what you're talking about, Chit Chat Cat, regarding optics. So the title of this is called, So You've Been Canceled. Now What? And it's hosted by Jay Lynn, Program Manager for Feminist Frequency, and Carl Murray Olson, Facilitator for Respec. And because they have the room and everything, but I'm going to skip that. So what it's about is, if the cancel culture mob comes after you in the context of obviously the game development industry, and you are called out for bad behavior, whatever it might be, how do you respond? How do you heal? How do you recover? And this is essentially a struggle session as a talk, okay? You guys familiar with what a struggle session is? It's a Maoist thing. Yeah, so it's essentially psychological torture to get you to bend your will to these people so that you can, like, you know, essentially feel a sense of relief from the immense amount of guilt they try to throw at you. But anyway, it says, can someone who has hurt others even repeatedly actually change? What comes after the call out? What can someone do if they've been called problematic, but aren't actually sure why? Not necessarily like whether or not they are, just whether or not they understand why they are. Or after losing friends, jobs, and networks, how does a person move forward if they want to become someone who won't cause that type of harm, even unintentionally, again? So your intentions don't matter, right? For the last 2 years, Respec has been talking to people in the games industry who have been called out, confronted, canceled, or fired for wrongdoing, harming others, or crossing boundaries or consent. By balancing compassion and accountability, Respec believes that restoring humanity to the experience of causing harm better fosters long-term change. So that's the subject of the talk they gave, or they're going to give. I'm not sure when it happened. Let me see what it probably has the date. Yeah, it was actually today, in the morning. What's the takeaway from this if you go to it? This talk will share an actionable roadmap to change, quotes from participants, common roots of accountability that have emerged, and Respec's approach to facilitating accountable discussions. The considerations outlined can also offer those running or building communities a nuanced framework for addressing harm in ways that better foster change. Pay attention to all the woke commie language in this, by the way. Intended audience. This is for anyone who has hurt others and wants to prevent it from happening again. Anyone worried about unintentionally harming others. Anyone who has faced a call out and wants to make things right, or anyone who is interested in supporting people they care about who have done harmful things. Now, this is so that's the layout of the thing. But you see what's happening with this. This is about power and control, and they will use victimhood to get it, and it's very effective. But anyway, what were you going to say, Chit Chat Cat, about that? This is at GDC.
With the whole GDC thing, with that specific talk, you know what? It's great for the people that are going to attend because they're demonstrable people, but unfortunately they don't have a conscience, so they won't benefit in any way. And it's gonna be like, I hope Zoe Quinn's attending, you know, because maybe she can learn from that. But anyway, she's in the world, hopefully in a ditch.
Is there someone else that's waiting to talk? Oh, in QCell, did you want to add anything? Or should I give the microphone to, there's a couple people I thought, oh, Allison is waiting. I got to approve her. But I'll send her back in.
Well,
Okay.
I have
Allison,
a lot of things to say, but it's your call.
Allison's no longer requesting, so go ahead. What do you want to say?
All right. So first thing, the thing that you mentioned, there is this sort of idea about the conservatives, about the abstract sort of miasma of conservatism and conservatives influencing culture in these nefarious ways from somewhere in the 80s, 90s, something about Dungeons and Dragons, something about Satanic Panic, and I think it's mostly overstated. To the extent that they were right in certain instances like there was actually some weird satanic cults going on. Like if something like Finders cult, right? That the CIA run, it was some weird CIA run thing. So there was stuff like that. But outside of that, conservatives didn't really have this massive impact. They didn't have a fraction of the impact the leftists have today or ever had. Consider something like the movie. It was something that I recalled recently. A Time to Kill, which is it's a Joel Schumacher movie. It was something I think in the 90s.
Is that the one with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes,
Yeah, they deserve to die, and I hope they
Jackson.
burn in hell.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, Carnegie, Kevin Spacey, Sandra Bullock, Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland, like insane like cast, right? And it's a movie based on a book where Samuel L. Jackson's daughter gets raped. By rednecks, by some like KKK, like insanely caricature stereotype rednecks, and he shoots them. And the movie is about Matthew McConaughey getting.
I think I know. Is this the one that's supposedly based on a real story, but the true story is like completely?
John Grisham novel. And the John Grisham novel, who based it on real event where the races are reversed, of course. And the movie is fucking insane. Like, there's a bit where when an NAACP like representative comes in and says, "Yeah, this outcome, like this trial has to go our way because it might reveal racism in society." But basically, if you don't allow Samuel L. Jackson to just vigilante shoot two people, then that's a little racism, right? And that's in the 90s. Like, that's insane. Right? So where do conservatives, like, what conservatives have to do that even compares to stuff like this, right? And this also goes to another fact, that 90s weren't this magical Cole O'Brien fucking James Lindsay land of utopia, where the racial differences have dissolved as if as a state in communism, right? There were racial riots. There was like, if you punched a black kid as a white dude in California in high school, you were in trouble. Like, even if you defended yourself against a black kid, you were in trouble. There was this racial. It might have been dialed down, but it's very much 2016 racial politics. So. Going off about like this weird nefarious and Tipper Gore is a fucking Democrat. Jack Thompson is a Democrat. Like, all these people were Democrats in the end when all is said and done, right? So it is conceding the frame. It is conceding the frame that what we're living through is just a pendulum swinging back, right? Conservatives were mean to us somehow. We're not sure really how, but this is like justifiable backlash. It's gay race communism until eternity because something in the 90s conservatives did about Dungeons and Dragons. This is entirely conceding the frame. And speaking of conceding the frame, this is the problem that I have with the current administration. I was going to softball into it, but yeah, I agree with the stuff about keeping it apolitical, and it is just about this very specific, isolated issue in a vacuum that cannot really be isolated and cannot be really put in a vacuum, right? It is political, and it is not. You cannot really excise it out of politics, because politics is what drives the people that are doing it. Just as a quick tangent, I want to say, the conditions for victory. Like, what does victory look like? If victory looks like, total journo, KIA, that's not happening, right? That was never going to happen.
Right.
So if that's something that people expected from the first GamerGate, like the GamerGate lost because we didn't build, gallows for journalists. Yeah, that was never gonna happen. Like that magic, GamerGate fail. Okay, whatever.
No, I know. I agree, 100%. Go ahead.
If the idea is that like just messaging, I think messaging is realistically the only thing that you can do. Like, even if you go a step upwards and consider the whole political spectrum, like the actual politics of how the government's what the government policy is, Like if you're a right wing, if you're like actual right wing, not like weird Matt Walsh, I love Israel right wing, but the actual right wing, like it's hopeless for you. Like your best hope is Trump, and hoping he doesn't invite Jared Kushner back to the party. So messaging is the best you can do, right? Like batting down the hatches, build locally, like do what you can in your immediate sort of surroundings, and then sort of try to radicalize normies, I guess. Within that, if that is the target, if that is the best you can do, I've definitely seen this sort of, like here, there's one like a screenshot I have from the Discord server that's running.
Are you in our
server?
Oh, Cabrutus. I'm in Discord. I'm in his Discord.
Yeah, the Sweet Baby Detective is like 300,000 people, which is a lot. Like,
yeah,
that's a sizable operation. Oh, well, not operation, but social media node, I guess. There's one comment from some guy. DIE sounds great on paper, but in practice it is awful. So you're basically conceding the frame entirely to your enemies. You're basically saying your enemies are right.
Yes,
and therefore your opposition to it is like what's your problem? And well, my problem is some specific application of the thing that they're doing, like they're doing the thing wrong, right? So it's mostly it frames itself or falls into itself, or you present yourself as an internecine conflict. It's like leftists fighting with leftists.
Yep.
And which unfortunately seems to me at times that it is what that is what it is. Like someone like me, which is, let's just say, very far right. My alignment with people that on that Discord is that very specific isolated issue of I don't want these people influencing games, right? I don't want this particular company. Although I will say, and I said this like 5 months ago when the Sweet Baby was first sort of discovered and talked about, I basically said, yeah, it's not like the like AAA. It's not like EA is full of giga-based people, and they were just
of course
by danger-haired like weirdos in this one company, right? So that was back then, and now it's sort of just the confluence of factors has exploded, whatever. But the way you got there is a long road, you know. It's a like sort of road of institutional pressure that I suppose this is just a discussion of tactics, and you don't really have the institutional drive. You do not really have the institutions that functionally then change the outcomes that you want to see. And this is another point which also rolls back into the conceding the frame and what you're actually trying to do here. Free marketplace of ideas doesn't exist. That's a meme. Change is only really executed by institutions and getting to those institutions. That doesn't happen because you convince someone. That happens because you backstabbed, cheated, lied, and stole your way into positions of power, and then you exercise that power, right? Debating with people, it's almost like at best is a pressure release valve, right? It's sort of like fighting over your favorite sports team. It's little better than that. I'm not sure. Like when you look at what actually radicalized normies in the or to the extent that can be said they have been radicalized, it was the lockdown, right? You could have spent like tens of thousands of hours online debating fucking bedroom feminists. I mean, I don't want to disparage the MRA issue. Like obviously, there was some good work done. Like there was the awareness was spread, right? Your hope ultimately is that by spreading awareness, you get these individuals, these people that find themselves in a position capable of exercising influence, right? You don't necessarily care about the individual normie. You care about getting Elon Musk to notice this somehow, right? And for that extent, you need to do this. Like you need to do these like insane 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours worth of online debates. But you cannot be mistaken about what you're trying to achieve, right? Like there's no critical mass of normies that you can radicalize that is going to affect change. It's Elon Musk doing things. It's Peter Thiel doing things, and going back to the whole Discord, this Discord business. My trouble with this is that a lot of the people are confused as to what needs to happen, and maybe even they don't necessarily want what needs to happen, right? Wherein they very easily will become liabilities rather than assets. Like, for example, if I think of something like, that's some black guy or Chris Reagan, right? Like they are very, they can be really said to be aligned with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that ultimately it comes down to, and I just gotta, because I gotta move on and wrap the show up, but I agree with everything you're saying. I think that it comes down to just like keeping people informed, keeping people vigilant. I don't want any black pills, out here. I'm not saying that everything's going to be great, but like giving up is the worst thing you could do. So you got to remain vigilant, remain informed, share information. Don't worry about trying to change everything overnight. And it's like you said, most of what we're dealing with is shit that we're dealing with that started before we were born. So like, how can we expect it to be over by the time we die? So it's almost like you have to, you just start the process and then you take care of yourself and do what you can, So as I'm saying, the thing about, this whole Gamergate thing is it's sort of small in that it's just like a leisure activity that people like to do. And, some people might say that you're taking this too seriously, but it is not like, it is part of something much bigger that's happening. And this is like where people are starting to take notice, so like they're going to see the ways that what's happened here is a byproduct of stuff that's happening everywhere else. And I think that there's way more people like activated now than were like in 2014. Way more. I mean, Elon Musk is sympathetic. He runs Twitter now. That changes the whole conversation, at least, right? So like, I think there's just I think that we're in a much better place than we were. And it warms my heart. And I hope that people will realize that you can't, eventually you're gonna have to confront the sort of like, broader scale politics of this, because they are impacting culture, and culture will affect the politics, or at least people's like values, and the values will affect the politics, if that makes sense. And that's why they want to corrupt all of our cultural institutions. That's why, they made that, what was that movie called again?
Which
Kiss the Girls, or the movie, the Samuel L. Jackson movie that was based on the book. Yeah, Time to Kill. Like, that's why, like, when that came out, everybody just thought that was just a movie, and they didn't like know anything else about it. But that bit of information that you shared, I heard that like on the internet. I think that's going around, right? So I'm optimistic about the future, but I'm not expecting to see a lot in my lifetime. That's all I will say. So, but with that said, thank you, InQcell, for that. I'm gonna head out, or Chit Chat Cat, and I'm gonna close out the show here. You guys. Oh, and I have one request. Let me see who somebody wants to come in and say something. The infamous Mr. Bloodia. I'm gonna approve him, and I'll give you some final thoughts, and then I'm gonna end the show there. And yeah, Allison's gonna. She's like not able to get in, so I don't know. Something's going on her end. But and somebody's making noise in the background. I'm gonna have to mute Chit Chat Cat there, so if that's okay, or if you could mute, that would be good. Okay. So. All right. If infamous Bloodia, Mista, you want to say something?
Oh yeah. I mean, you guys were pretty much covering most of the things I was thinking about, to be honest with you. The only thing I really thought about, just throwing this in as a side thought, like the idea of like getting the normies involved in this is kind of the weirdest part. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just kind of a big thing here. But with the whole Gamergate thing, if you haven't noticed, like, people aren't getting on board with everything that goes on with the whole woke thing, because it's like, okay, it doesn't affect me, so they don't really care.
Yeah, I know.
which sucks, and I don't know why. But you know, once it enters their sphere, then they're looking around for help. But you know, I didn't come out because I was a normie thing, right? The whole point is like, if you can get all the gamers that are relatively in the sphere of like apolitical conversation to actually like sit down and have a conversation about what the hell is going on. Not the people who are hearing it from like Kotaku, because the average Kotaku enjoyer is not going to be your base conversation audience. I'm just going to be honest with you.
100%, yeah.
So like focusing rightly on the gaming perspective right now is kind of the best thing. Once we get this shit cleared up, maybe we can move forward with other stuff.
Yeah.
Like first we got to clean up our yard before we go over here and try to help like comics and all these other places, because I've already seen how the cross-pollination of these ideas really didn't work out because the implementation was bad. We left a lot of things hanging back in 2016. And I'll be honest, like it didn't fix everything, and it wasn't going to fix everything, because you were going to have a brand new brand of journalists that showed up. Again, Lisa Mercanti wasn't working at any of these places before Gamergate. Like these people are relatively new. Like I don't know if you've noticed it, but like this is a new bumper crop of people that you've never seen or heard of. Like, again, these people are new guard to an old argument. Yeah, there are some old faces and new spaces that we've seen, like, again, Lego butts. Yeah, those are similar people. And again, all the connections lead back to the same people we've talked about in 2016. However, like, we got to start here first, because if we go out there and try to, like, do the fracturing thing like we did back in 2016, where everybody wanted to fight two different fronts and it just didn't work, it's going to fall apart. And I mean, really, that's it. Don't make it a shit show this time. Again, if you're expecting Matt Walsh to really help you, we tried. We tried that with Milo Yiannopoulos. Let's be fair here. That didn't work out. I was there, like, why are we bringing in Milo? It'll be a good voice. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he seemed someone that was more like about using it for himself, right? So I don't think it was good, and that's the thing. I think people are more wary of that these days, and that's why, like I said, Matt Walsh got slapped down like pretty much immediately afterwards. But again, I'm with you on that. I think we just focus on this, and I think one thing that helps is that we just have fun with it and just meme the shit out of the things that we like and meme the shit out of the things that we want to criticize, and that's working, right? So like I'm in Kyle's Discord server. Yeah, I'm in there, and I'm in the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected one, and they're having fun, and like even if I don't care what your because I don't need to like learn about like what your politics are. Frankly, when I started doing this work, I was completely different in my beliefs than I am today. So I know that it will take a little time, but fortunately, I think we have a lot on our side. So I think that you're right, and I appreciate your feedback.
Anytime. But
all right.
I know you're trying to wrap up, so I'll just pop back out.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And I think I got one more person. No, nobody's requesting. So I'm gonna end the call because my phone is dying, and I'm just gonna say, Elon Musk, figure your shit out. Give us a Spaces that works on desktop and works consistently and doesn't have a shit ton of lag and doesn't drop all of a sudden. Come on, man. You put like a robot on Mars and you couldn't just get this to work. Like, it's worse than Skype.
Weird. I'm on desktop right now doing this.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the thing is, you are on desktop. I'm on desktop talking to you right now too. But to start the Spaces, I have to use it in my phone. It's stupid. So my phone is over here dying just to run the space, but I'm actually using a different account to talk to you guys. So anyway, but thank you for coming on the show. Let me know what you guys think about this GDC stuff, and I will try to cover more of it this week on Honey Badger Arcade, which is the gaming channel. Thanks so much for it. Thank you for everybody who called in. It was actually like a lot more rewarding than I expected. I was worried that the technical difficulties were going to be a real boot in my ass, but I did get some super chats, so I'm going to read those really quick, and then I'm going to end it there. So Zaranx gave us $2 and says, "I'm Magapint Brian." So I guess he was in our chat for a bit, and then I think he left. Thank you for that. And then he says, "A lot of this is incomplete or not coming through at all on Spaces for $5. I hope that was fixed. If that's still a problem, let me know. And then Albert Nader Retro gives us $5 Canadian, says, met a woman at the coffee shop. I told her about HBR, my channel, and where to see the red pill. Cassie's doc is about the real RP. The rest is snake oil. Thank you for all of that. Appreciate it. And I think I'm just going to end the show there. So I'm going to hang up on the Spaces here and end that. And then I'll wrap it up with everybody else. So thanks, guys. How do I do that? I'm going to end it. And it'll be recorded. It'll be up there. So, all right. That's the end of that. So thanks, guys, for coming on the show. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. I did get another super chat from Albert Nader Retro for $2 Canadian. It's the nature of gamers to resist. Yes, it is. That is true. If you guys like this, and it will continue. It will continue until people, like, you know, finally take a stand and realize that our culture is like really important. As an artist myself, I care deeply about it. So anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the discussion we had, and please share this video, because sharing is caring. I'll try to get this Spaces thing figured out before the next time I do this. This might be a series, because back in the day when Gamergate was, like, you know, around the first time, we used to have a series called Pod GamerGate, where we would have, like, different people on, and they were sort of like regulars, and we talk about, like, what was going on in the whole, you know, space, like with the newest articles or whatever. So we might bring that back if I can get this working. Maybe do it on Spaces. I think that could work if Elon Musk gets that shit straightened out. So anyway, thanks so much for coming on today's episode of Pod GamerGate 2, because it's GamerGate 2, and we'll talk to you all in the next one.
Are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.